Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Overcoming Graduation Podcast with Brian Drury, a show where I work to teach you everything I wished I'd known about habits and mindset to help you begin creating your dream life today. Today is another installment of the Morning Commute, where I take my ride to work in the morning to share a short but powerful message with you to help you kick your day off on the right foot. And today's message is this: the Success Mosaic. Today, while at work, because this morning commute is actually the afternoon commute, but I didn't want to change the title, so I didn't. So today at work, I was listening to an interview that's being conducted by someone I'm going to be having on the show. He's going to be a guest, and I was listening to some of his episodes just to learn about his style, his content, a little more of his story. And he was interviewing the founder of Life Aid, which, if you're familiar with it, it's a pretty well-known drink company that's for recovery, for aiding your body. They initially started out for golfers and CrossFitters, and giving them the things that those people in those specific markets were needing that they felt weren't being served. And as he was interviewing this founder, whose name I'm blanking on, I'm actually still about 3/4 of the way through the interview. When he was interviewing this founder, the guy started to talk about his success or his journey towards success. The interviewer asked him, "Can you tell us about some of the things you tried before this company, before you've had this multi-million-dollar success?" And so he listed off a bunch of random, all over the place entrepreneurial endeavors, but talked about how those different endeavors had helped him grow to the point where he could do this. It had helped him grow to the point where each time he learned something new. Each quote-unquote failure helped him evolve, helped him change, helped him tweak, helped him understand something that he hadn't before, so that once he got to the point when he was ready to create Life Aid with his business partner, he had the experience and all the different pieces came together. And the way he described it was, he said, "I like to imagine it like each of those failures," and we're doing air quotes, "was a piece of broken glass. And when you put them all together, they create a mosaic. Any one of them viewed independently might just look like a broken shard of glass just sitting there. But when you step back and look at them all in retrospect, you can see the beautiful picture it's creating." And when you think about your life, oftentimes some of the greatest quote-unquote failures, the things that we deem to be a failure, the things we look at as a failure at the time, end up being some of the greatest things for us. They end up being some of the best things that could ever happen to us. The relationship that ends, the job you leave or get fired from, the financial crisis, the health crisis, the crisis with a family member or a loved one. These are things that we wouldn't necessarily wish for, but when we really look at them, they're the things that challenged us to grow and helped us become who we are the most, because it's those moments of friction, those moments of tension, those moments of intensity where we really learn about ourselves. Because it's interesting, when everything's going right, there is a lot less to confront. There's a lot less that comes up. Doesn't mean things are always super smooth sailing, but when things are balanced, things are easy, things are pretty even keel across the board, or in most areas of your life, it's easy to become complacent. It's easy to let a big Harley go flying by you with a really loud engine and affect your morning commute recording. That's easy. But it's easy to just start to be like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm good now. I don't have to work on these things anymore. I don't have to start creating these shards of glass. My mosaic's done. I'm good. I'm happy. Things are solid." But when we stop working, when we stop finding and creating and seeking out new pieces of glass to add to that mosaic, it can be incomplete. For a time, for a moment, it may appear complete. This is everything I needed and everything I wanted. But when the new challenge appears, do you have that additional piece of glass? Do you have that additional experience that creates an image, that creates a story that helps you through the tough times? Because when I picture a mosaic, it's not just a couple pieces of glass. There's images, and those images tell a story, and that story is our lives. So when we look at the failures or the successes, we may be putting together some broken pieces that are telling a very sad story at some point. But that doesn't dictate how we put together those pieces in the future as we continue this. Imagine some gigantic mosaic mural that's going across the entire wall of a building, or a church, or a cathedral, or some ancient building that you want to imagine. And imagine it continues to grow every day that you live. And as you continue to add pieces to the mosaic, you can tell whatever story you want. So although you may have been battling a depression, and there's a time where it shows you feeling beaten and depressed or sad or lost, well, the next few pieces of glass can start to construct where you started to work your way out, and it shows an image of you lifting yourself up, or seeking help, or creating help. And what I mean by that is you already know a lot of things that could help in those dark situations, and you start doing those things. And then all of a sudden you realize the power it has, and then you take responsibility and ownership for the challenges and the problems in your life, and then all of a sudden, a few steps down that mosaic, now you've got that hero character, your hero, you in that story, now totally painted differently. Now he's got armor and a lion's head mane that he's earned from battling his challenges. Yes, he fought a lion at some point, beat it, made a rug out of it. Now, for anyone who's an animal conservationist, this lion was a dick, okay? He came at you, it was self-defense, and you didn't want the pelt to go to the waste, and you used all the meat. So, I know, not ideal, it's a lion, but this lion was asking for it. And so in this mural, you've acquired armor, you've acquired magical items, you've acquired things that help you along your journey. Now you're more developed, now you're more evolved. Now when the bigger challenges come, so you face down that lion, and now it's time for a dragon. Now, when we don't seek out challenges, when we don't face up to challenges, when we don't seek out growth, growth will come to us. But how we grow is up to us. Because those, and I should say, growth opportunities will come. We can choose whether or not we grow. Because there will be situations that come up and we're like, fuck that. I don't want to grow. I don't want to face this. I don't want to deal with that. I don't feel like it, which then leads to stagnation or repeats of the same issue. Where I saw this for myself, and where we see it a lot just in general in our society, is relationships. When we don't choose to grow and we continue to point the finger and we don't take ownership and responsibility for the part we played in that relationship, it's real easy to go, well, oh, man, I treat people, I treat men, I treat women, I treat them so good and they just don't appreciate it. That's the problem. That's the problem. I did everything for that relationship. Then, when we actually take our personal responsibility and we say, I take full ownership for my experience, my life, my journey, my path, we go, cool, all right. Why did I stay as long as I did? Because clearly I stayed longer than I should have from feeling these feelings. Okay? How did I show up? Where was I being needy or clingy or jealous? Why was I feeling that? And then we start to work on those things, face up to it in reality versus living the same story over and over where, you've heard it as many times as I have. Somebody goes, there's no good men out there. There's no good women out there. You just can't find anybody good. They tell those stories, and then what do? We find people who will reinforce the stories we're telling ourselves. Instead of facing up to our responsibility and where we could be showing up as the greatest version of ourselves or a greater version of ourselves, and then saying, I'm willing to believe that the things I want are out there, that the mosaic that I want to create can be created, but I realize it's got to start with me. Has been one of my biggest realizations lately, one of the biggest epiphanies I've had as I've been facing lots of challenging emotional situations where I had a period of 3 weeks where my anxiety where I was feeling the highest levels of anxiety I felt since my mom was battling cancer and ultimately passed from it. For a while, I was going, oh my God, I don't know what this is. This has got to be some deep, profound thing. I don't know what to do. I feel lost. There's got to be some big, profound answer that I need some expert or some incredible coach or someone to reveal for me. I need them to, it's going to be some deep childhood thing, and I'm realizing I'm not making the association. And at that point in the Mosaic, I was putting in broken pieces of glass that were looking like, depressed, scared, worried. It's like I picture that portion of the Mosaic going and looking like just me curled up in the fetal position, just like lying on the floor. That's what I see. And again, we can look at these broken pieces of glass, and we can look at these moments, and I can look at even that section of that Mosaic as a failure. Be like, I blew it. I could stop trying to fail. Stop trying to add pieces to the Mosaic because I'm afraid to fail, and just stay in the shit, stay in the pain, stay in the anxiety, stay in the depression, stay in the excuses, stay in the this, you name it. But because, one, I have incredible people in my life, I was able to reach out to a coach who reminded me, Brian, one, get back to basics. Two, recognize you got this shit. Three, and between him and these 2 books that I've been listening to recently, the main message that I was getting was take full responsibility. Because right then I was playing the victim to my anxiety. I don't know what to do. I don't know why I feel like this. Because of course you do. You stopped eating right. You stopped working out. You stopped meditating. You stopped taking care of your mental, physical, emotional, spiritual self. Get back to basics. And then once you're back to basics, get back to the enhanced activities, the things that you're doing beyond that, the things you know that could help. Try everything. And until you've tried all that, you can't say, I don't know what's going on. And own it. So now I'm owning the creation of the Mosaic more and more. So even on the difficult days, I say, hey, this is my choice. I'm choosing to do the best I can at this point. Maybe I didn't sleep well. Maybe this happened. Maybe that happened. You know what? I'm going to do the best I can in this moment. Every day isn't necessarily going to be sunshine and rainbows, but I'm working to shift my perspective. I'm working to shift my actions, and I'm working to shift my habits to support me being at my absolute best. To be able to enjoy this ride the most, because God knows none of it's promised. We don't know how long it's going to last. And we often lose sight of that or push that away because it's an uncomfortable thought, myself included. But I think connecting with our mortality is one of the things that helps us realize, as Steve Jobs says, that we have nothing to lose. So as we're creating this Mosaic, we may be hesitant to chip any pieces of broken glass off anything else. We may be hesitant to create more pieces, but that's the experience, that's the living, and that's what enables us to step back as we're going and throughout our lives to say, wow. And all that shit led to this incredible moment, this incredible thing, this incredible person, this incredible relationship, this incredible product, company, service. It took all of that to get here. And then you get asked the question, are you thankful for those quote-unquote failures? Fuck yeah. They weren't necessarily fun in the moment, and a lot of times they're not. A lot of times it's painful, but a lot of times our best lessons come from that. A lot of times someone gets a real painful lesson, they go, well, never again, and that leads to some of the greatest shifts in their lives. So as you think about the way you're perceiving failure right now, are you just looking at a bunch of pieces of broken glass? Or can you step back and see a mosaic? Are you just leaving all those pieces of broken glass lying around on the floor like a jumbled mess and feeling like, well, this is my life, is a pile of failure? Or are you saying this is a pile of lessons learned, and this is a pile of knowledge, and this is a pile of ability to share, and the failures mean I'm making attempts at living life the way I want to, on my terms. So that means I'm living, dude. I'm trying. I'm getting lost. I'm experimenting. I'm reading. I'm trying to put out a product. I'm asking that person on the date. I'm trying. And yeah, I'm going to fail at times in terms of it doesn't always go, yeah, yes, here you go. Here's the check. Yes, I want to date you. You're super sexy. It doesn't always go like that. But what are you doing with your shards of broken glass? And where right now could you step back and remember a time in your life that seemed like chaos and seemed like nothing but just a bunch of pile of pieces of broken glass that now you can see as a mosaic, a beautiful mosaic that is coming together as one of the big pieces of your life. All right, guys, that is all for today. I would love to thank you all for joining me. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, or Google Play. If you'd like to reach out to me directly, you can contact me at brian@overcominggraduation.com to reach out about recommending interviewees for the show, to have me answer a question on the air, to you name it. I just love hearing from you guys. Or if you want to reach out to book me for an upcoming speaking event, I'd love to hear from you. And that address again is brian@overcominggraduation.com. I love you guys. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for being a part of the show. And I'll be talking to you again real soon.